Hello YouTube, I am NegZ, or sometimes just Negs. Welcome to another Destiny Chronicles video, a new series where I dive into the extensive lore of Destiny, turning Bungie's exciting text into even more exciting audio. Today we're continuing with the second bit of new lore introduced for Season 10, Season of the Worthy, called Legacy. This is video 2 of 3, so if you missed the first one, I'll link it below and on screen. You should probably check it out first, but I'm not your dad. You don't have to listen to me. Wait, that came out wrong. Definitely listen to me. Seriously though, go listen now. I'll wait. Okay, great. Now that you're all caught up, I'll link Bungie's original blog post below, but if you want to read along with this one, be sure to turn your captions on. If you enjoy this kind of content, I would not at all be opposed to some like, subscribe, and notification action, but only if it's consensual. Okay, we've got a lot to cover, so enough with the ado, let's get into it. Patina, Clovis 9, Apollinaris' caldera. The splintered blast door wheezes. Licks of wind spill over the caldera and whistle through ragged gaps between metal shed fragments. The blast door had been peeled away. Curlicues of high-density plasteel gnawed into dead spider legs. Anna focuses her eyes on the damage. This door, it's built like a vault and something punched right through it. Jinju draws a scan over the door, frame to frame. They'd need a lot of power to penetrate that much plasteel. Heat discoloration, frictional wear, and vigorous application are printed throughout the vault-style door. Channels like neon paint spatter, radiation scar the metal's face, gilded in veins of copper-teal patina. Tarnish concentrates along the strips that once formed the center of the door, while the surrounding shore-like edges, still largely intact, remain swollen and fused to the archway framing it. Anna steps closer to the blast door and runs her hand along the steel. She swats to silence the resonators in her visor. I didn't see this from up there. I thought it was just pitted, but look at these markings. Jinju floats squarely above Anna's head. Her iris traces the spiraling patterns within small indented pits in the metal. Together, they follow interlinking connections that flow from the door's center, outward, carving symmetrical grooves only micrometers in depth. So, not punched, more like pushed. Jinju zeroes in on the stress fractures in the metal. The damage was applied delicately, as if someone had split, bent, and smoothed each individual protrusion with meticulous intention. Anna scrapes corrosion into a sterile receptacle with fingertips clawed in pointed light and stows it in her bandolier. Jinju chirps. Damage predates the eruption by a lot. It's a miracle it wasn't flooded. Anna nods. These patterns look like wavelengths? What do you think, Red? Aurelian honey-dripped tones wash through Anna's helmet in luxurious fashion. Something Golden Age, sure. Anna massages her palm contemplatively. Biometric scan still says it's empty. Whatever did it, they're gone now. Jinju flicks a light on and shines it into the door hole puncture. Guardians first. Anna scrunches her face at her ghost. You know, normally it's the lackey that goes in first. Yes, chirps Jinju. Rasputin hums a resplendent and authoritative purplish rhythm through Anna's helmet. It persists, orchestral vibrato trailing in her ears. Ha, ha, Anna responds, devoid of amusement. They enter together. Anna leads. Jinju's light speckles through ash filtering in from the punctured doorway, but all elsewhere There is only stillness. A small utilitarian atrium encircles them with a freight lift directly ahead, saddled by 2 large windows. Smudges and clouded filth belie a grander facility beyond them. A sectioned-off reception desk fills the space on their right, while lockers line the opposing left wall or lay fallen in impact craters of collecting ash. Above them, a large gyro arm split away from the vault door is ensconced into the ceiling. Cracks in the surrounding superstructure tell of a violent snap. The room isn't particularly tall, only enough to accommodate the entryway frame behind them. From the arm, the ceiling slopes down swiftly to the top of the lift mechanism. Lines of fluorescent bulbs popped or burnt out ages ago littered the floor in a field of glass shards that transformed Jinju's light beam into prismatic skitters across the walls. Anna looks around and crunches through the glass, making her way to the windows. Her visor ripples infrared as a scan sweeps the room. Heat signatures, nil. I'm not seeing any access points to plug Red in. Her voice trails with abject confusion. Jinju whirs and floats past Anna, decompiling herself into data points of light that sift into the walls around the lift. Jinju's flashlight goes with her. Darkness rushes in on Anna to fill the space left by Jinju's absence. It halts against a light epimysium, clinging to her like a second skin. She waits in depth. A pause. Time, malleable in the dark. Anna puts her fingers to the glass and leans. It feels firm, cold, resistant to pressure. She draws in her fingers, leaving trenches in the caked soot. Her fist closes and polishes a clean hole through the smears. A pop sounds overhead, and glass plinks off her helmet. Anna ducks her head reflexively. The few remaining intact fluorescent bulbs surge with electricity. Some burst into flashes of ash and sparks, but enough remain to dimly light the room. Through the newly cleaned window porthole, lights twinkle within a dark expanse of liquid before swelling into waves of psychedelic surf across endless, towering fields of circuitry. Anna inches her face closer to the glass. The lift chugs. A thin overlay interface pulses to life on top of the basalt separation between lift and window, pulling away Anna's intention. Jinju recompiles herself into being, a smug lilt to her wafting motions through the air. Her light beam carves existence out of the dark. Rasputin can't do everything, you know. A crimson hue lash spits venom across Anna's visor. Good job, Jinju. Red, cool it. The trio board the lift. The lift descends. Maximum capacity 14,515 kilograms. They drift diagonally deeper. On either side, paint-stamped signage bears familiarity. Clovis 9. The Bray name, in origin at least as far back as anyone would care to look, was seated inseparably from Clovis. Preservations on the shaft walls, though dulled under waning ash coat, solidify his legacy in stenciled prints visible through the split-weave chicken wire wrap that surrounds the lift. Anna lets loose a whistle. Rasputin, this has your name written all over it. Senseless quiet sounds back in recognition of a daunting unfamiliarity. Pillory containment. Maintenance. Hydraulic pipes groan as the freight lift transitions from the stony shaft enclosure into a glass-walled overlook. Anna steps forward, Jinju close behind. Both peer through the rusted links into monolithic mangroves of circuitry and data cores, drown in an oceanic tank. Coolant ebbs and flows through bundles of sapphire wiring in shallow breaths. Psychotropic surge washes over motley arcs of electricity as they zip between the towers like synaptic impulses. Tint spills through the glass and flows over eye and iris alike, dripping color into faint emergency lighting. Anna slips between the feverish half-breath beats of pigment that roll over the lift cabin. She could stare forever. If time would wait, it might be enough. Rhythmic, fleeting, frenetic beauty. In arrest, something blinks in her visor. Hypoxemia, blood oxygen 77%. She shakes it, comes to, breathes, sharp. Anna turns her head toward Jinju, her eyes still affixed to the glass. Are those servers? An archive? An undercurrent of excitement pitches through Anna's voice. Atlas had always materialized in her mind as a journal or hidden subset of file directories. But this, if it was what she thought it was. After all these years, buried gems still hold the capacity to surprise her. Jinju sends scans out into the drink. They're shielded. She sinks a bit under the weight of her disappointment. It's odd that they'd run the servers off backup power if that's what they are. I was only able to trip the auxiliary breaker from the atrium. Mainframe access. At least we're going in the right direction. Clatters and whines echo through the shaft as the lift comes to a stop. Gates slide through pristine tracks and slip into alcove slots in the walls, giving way to a maintenance nexus fed by dozens of service hatch, fiber line cluster, and access tunnel nervous systems that sprawl the facility. Directly ahead, a door. Pillory mainframe, Paragon. Anna's visor sweeps and highlights a dead network aperture embedded in a web of tunnels below them. Jinju, think you could get us in through that? Crinkle thrum laughter purrs from Jinju's shell. Power will be restored momentarily. Anna approaches the mainframe door. Jinju's light fetters dissipate behind her. It's no blast door, but still far denser than any of the surrounding maintenance hatches. Anna turns away from the door and looks back to survey the room. Brass-hue citrus prickles surge from temple to temple across her visor, discrepancies in the floor's smoothness, trim with ballistic pings. Impact gouge divots had whisked chunks of melted stone into shallow swept peaks all along the floor. A peppering of gloss-ridden flakes around each of Rasputin's contact pings designate 3 main concentrations of fire. Someone had a gunfight down here? It looks like everything was flying in one direction. Nice catch, Red. Satin satisfaction weaves over Anna's skin and dissolves like perfume. Jinju reforms, prideful. Auxiliary power spooling down. Main power stations, of which there are 22, are coming online presently. Expect full operational system functionality to be restored within a minute or two. What would I do without you? Well, you'd only die once and that'd be it. Anna shakes her head and attempts to bite down a smile. Rasputin remains silent. The trio position themselves at the door as breaker activations roll thunderous current through the facility. Anna unclasps the holster strap on 18 kelvins. Light strips sputter and strain to illumination along corners and grooves outlining the floor and ceiling. Glimmers catch in the gunfire ruts behind them. She extends her fist to Jinju. Jinju bumps it with her shell. Anna taps her knuckles against her helmet to a bass beat response. She nods. Stay behind me. And that'll do it for today's episode of Destiny Chronicles. Thank you so much for joining me. I've already started work on the final part of this story, so be sure to click that notification bell. You know how this works. You're a YouTube veteran. Those like and subscribe buttons won't click themselves. Now before I go, I need to give a huge shout out and a thank you to my buddy Killjoy for my new logo and thumbnails. I'll link his channel below, so please check him out. He is good peoples. If you like, you can also find me on Instagram and Twitter, just like here as NegZ758. But for now, all praises and copyrights to our Lord and Savior Bungie Inc. I am NegZ, and I'll talk to you next story time.